right, Black Box Radio. Listen, I'm in my South Carolina studios, but you know what? We from Baltimore. This is a Baltimore-based joint. We started this in Baltimore. I'm out of town, but I'm still loving on Baltimore. So we rolling into the Planet Park Heights, Park Heights, Planet West Side today. So this is our Black Fathers Matter series. This is a very important series. I just want to say shout out to all fathers. Yesterday was Father's Day. Listen, I'm not here without a father. None of us are not here without a father. So listen, shout out to all Black men, all fathers. Happy Father's Day, which was yesterday. So this is the second leg of our series. We are platforming three Black men, and at different stages of fatherhood, different ages. So it's very important for us to listen and hear from Black men. We are not a complete community without whole, purposeful, complete Black men. So it's very important that we talk to Black men. And I really make a concerted effort. This is intentional. It's to always include Black men. Sometimes us as strong Black women, alpha women, we kind of forget our Black men. We can never forget our Black men. So on Black Box Radio, Black men is always going to be platform. So that's what this is. This is Black Fathers Matter. This is our second iteration. We have Akewi Barnes. I'm just so happy to have him. I'm going to introduce him in a minute. But first, I'm going to say I'm Queen. I'm a host at Black Box Radio. We are a multimedia platform illustrating Black excellence. We platform Black people. We expose Black genius. But more than anything, we disseminate information to our Black community, but also the other communities. It's very important to have an authentic space for a Black face. That's what we do 6 to 9 times a month. I need you guys to jump up, pull up, stand 10 toes down. I need you to like, share, subscribe. Let me say that again. Like, share, subscribe our YouTube channel. We are trying to build this grassroots space of Black folk. So I need you guys to like, share, subscribe. But I want to show you the series real quick before Akewi comes on and talk. So this is the series. We got 3 Black fathers. We have Baba Saw on Thursday. He's on YouTube. Check his joint out. He's the father of the community. He opened up this series, which was so important because he brought history in and how it was to be a father when he started as a young man, as a young father, as a young man. So, and now tonight, we're going to have Akewi Barnes, and then we'll have Darnell Wharton on next Tuesday. But tonight, without further ado, I showed you the Black fathers, but this is the father of the night. Akewi Barnes, say hi to the people of the Mayor Park Heights. What's up, bro? Say hi.
Good evening, good evening. I'm so grateful and thankful to be on the stream with Black Box Radio, someone who I've been able to watch over the years, able to meet in person out in the community, and I've actually been under the tutelage of Baba Assad. So I'm just definitely honored to be the follow up in this series and just speak on my aspect of Black fatherhood.
Love that. We love that. And you know what? It's important, Kaylee, to have like Baba because he's such a good guy. He's a loving man, family man, community man. And for you to come in and you're youthful, you're a younger version of a Black father, Black man, it's important to have your voice too. So the first thing we're going to do before we jump into the Black fatherhood is we know you got some seeds running around Baltimore. we know you got seeds out here, but first we want to talk about who you are. Let's talk about Akewi. Like, where'd you come from? Are you from Baltimore? Where'd you go to school? I know how you rep schools in Baltimore. Kind of tell us about you.
I would just start by saying that I am one, the Park Heights mayor, right? I'm a young man who grew up in Park Heights. I started off in the Oswego Mark Court, grew up here, and from there, went through the urban experience of being a young Black man who, although I grew up under my grandmother initially, was kind of sheltered and spoiled, coming back with my mom growing up in Park Heights. I initially went to Dr. Martin Luther King Elementary, and then I went to KIP after that, which kind of changed my intellect and my, how intelligent I was with grammar and academics. But I, hit this street hurdle of what most young Black men face in Park Heights or West Baltimore. And now I come, in my community out of conservation, being incarcerated from 16 years old to 23 years old for attempted murder. And I immediately came back into my community with not a vengeance or trying to move off old reputation, but to prove
Yeah.
that, hey, I didn't come home from, parole or a halfway house. I came home from a modification of sentence because there was a judge that saw something in me that I was saying, hey, I got a different vision. So the Northwest Wellness Project is a baby of what I presented to the judge as well as what I represented to the community, how I was going to engage and implement. And Be More Rap Review is more like a media outlet that I created to promote, different
Mhm.
things that I wanted. But ultimately, I
Okay.
come back to Akewi, being someone who went through a rites of passage program while incarcerated under amazing
Mm,
brothers like Bakari. And that just really transformed from me getting a cultural aspect, coming straight out of incarceration, going to the temple of New African Thought, meeting not only Baba Assar, but Ministers Assar, knowing brothers like
mhm.
Brother Curtis, and
Yep.
not having all my stuff together, but at least having the right foundation to repivot out in society with a new mind frame.
I love it. I love it. Listen, now, I need you to sit back because I know you coming to talk to us, but all we see is that tattoo on your neck. So I need you to stay back so I can see your face. But listen, I love this story. So being formerly incarcerated, right? You
Yes.
came out here, and it sounds like for about 6 years, correct?
Yes, 6 years, 7
Six,
months.
six, six, yes, 6 and some months. Okay. So for 6 years, but you said that you did not come out on a parole. A judge modified your sentence.
Yes.
That's that's amazing. So, what did you present something to him, or he just saw something in you and said, "Listen, let's give this brother another chance."
So I actually had to go through an extended process of anytime you plead guilty to a crime, you pretty much waive your rights to any legal processes that would say, hey, there was a mistake, or, you pretty much admit
Okay.
guilt and you save the court time, you save the family time, and you kind of go in with the mind frame like, all right, I messed up. I got to do this time. So ultimately, I had a 30 or suspended but 15-year sentence beginning in 2009, which means that
Right.
I wouldn't have been eligible for parole until 2017, maybe coming home 2019, 2020. Instead, I
Wow.
came back into society 2016 because I presented to my judge, like, hey, I'm a mentor right now. I'm
Mm,
facilitating an alternative to violence group right now that is a cohort style base that I've done three on. I went through it first and then I did advanced training, then I did a training for trainers training. I got this book that I'm
mm,
writing. I do the dog program. So I'm really coming at it with a real presentation of like, I'm not playing, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And for the I experienced something in the justice system where if you get in front of the right judge and they actually hear you, but the thing is, I had to first get approved for what's called a post conviction, meaning
Mm,
that there was there's a variety of things, but in my case, when you plead guilty, only thing I would have had was ineffective counsel and or like I was under the like this real provable case of when I pled guilty, I was not, you know, I was, forced to say this or I was coerced, right?
okay.
So with my public defender forgot to file my motion for modification, right? Which is just
Mm,
a paperwork that you get 90 days to file after you plead guilty, right? Which gives the
right.
judge say we can hold this sub cure. SUB-CURIA. Mind you, young black men don't know nothing about this legal stuff. I didn't know nothing about this legal stuff.
You didn't have
But
a clue, did you?
fortunately, there were brothers like Howard Bay. There's brothers like Bakari. There's brothers like Curtis. There's brothers like no, they're facilitating these mentorship programs. They're making these programs. They're doing legal mock classes where they're or picking the whole jury. There's somebody a
What?
judge, somebody's the attorney, somebody's a victim, somebody's like they're playing out. So me being intelligent, being guided, being mentored, and being active in the prison environment, I started to look at the legal situation differently. Do you
Wow.
understand? My
So
public defender told me she forgot to file this motion for modification in
wow.
2017. No, I'm sorry. I got locked up
2009.
in 2009. So she sent me this letter in 2011. Pled guilty July. So she sent me this around September. I got all the documentation approved, right? So this
Right.
documentation is saying, hey, I forgot to file your motion for modification on time. I apologize. Here's Scott Whitney's office for the post modification. I get mad. I don't really know what she's saying. All I know she messed up. So I kept the piece of paper, but I just like threw it and I was mad, right? So
Right.
this
Right.
is why I'm in WCI. I'm in Western Correctional Institution. If anybody knows
Yes.
about prisons in Maryland, right? All of them bad, but the worst is the ones in Compton. They sent me there when I was 18 years old. That's when
Wow.
my first stop from DOC. So
Wow.
now I'm in this reality smack of what I'm really about to be facing. And when I get that letter, mind you, I'm already under the laws of like your first 5 years mandatory parole and no mandatory 5 years probation and
Hmm.
mandatory 5 years no parole. That means that from 2009 2014, I'm not eligible for parole, no matter what, right?
Nothing. You would have to stay in from 2009 to 2014. Got
And
it.
because I got a violent offense, I'm in a high enough security level. Even though it was just my first offense ever, they sent me
Hmm.
in the worst prison with lifers and 50 years, 80 years, 100 years, white gangs, black gangs, nothing the same. It's not that Baltimore, style city jail of what I was used to. So not only do I have to learn how to be in prison, I have to, accept. So what I used to do is I start writing essays, which was me writing outwardly to,
Hmm.
dang man, this is how you never come here. Like this is what I did, and this is what I'm going through. Those essays
Yeah.
is what's my published book right now. Without the
Hmm.
grammatic edits, without like this the clip art from the computer I typed it up on in Patuxent. So even though I really wanted like this perfect book, is a capturing of that time. Eddie
That's what makes
Conway
it perfect.
edited this book.
Yeah, that's
Eddie
what makes it
Conway,
perfect.
you understand? By the Eddie
Yeah.
Conway, he was in the transition, like right before he came home off his 43-year bit, he was coming down to the classes with Bakari and I.
Ah.
Curtis Warren coming down to the classes with Bakari and us. Minister Saw coming inside of the prison
Yep.
facilitating classes. So look what my experience was prior to my reentry. You people think
Love
I'm
it.
moving on a regular plane. I'm just not being excuse me. People think
And
I'm
what that
moving on a regular plane, but I was reading 50 books a year.
whoa. So you was doing it. So
I'm
let me ask
doing
a question
notes
before you
and
stop.
mandatory essays.
Stop for 1 second, because we got to get some clarity, because your story is riveting. We ain't even getting Black Fatherhood. We at the pre. So let me ask a question. For you, would you had get this type be this type of person if you never went to prison? This is a real question. Like the rites of passage, the type of relationships that you conjured,
Yeah.
Conway, Warren,
You wanna know why?
us, these guys. Will you have
One
been
thing
able to do
one
without
thing we
prison?
can never do, right? And I will
Hmm.
be foolish and I hate anyone who does this, right? Is to
Right.
account prison for the transition, right? If you know a
Excellent.
95 to you, you know a
Yes.
95 to you, you know that's my
Yes.
blood big brother.
Oh wow.
Do you know that's my blood big brother? That's like who's my we in this house that
Yeah,
I am.
Baba Imhotep. That's the
So
race first.
Baba Imhotep, right, was
Yeah,
already planting the seeds trying to get me when I was a teenager. Remember him gangbang? He got my brother. My brother was planting the seeds. I wouldn't have went to prison and start dealing with no Afrocentric Pan African dudes. It wouldn't have resonated with me. It wouldn't have been no seed. But because I
it's
identified,
already
right,
planned.
and it was already
Yeah.
planted. I knew my brother was on that, right? And then I get into WCI. I'm out WCI with Segun. I
Oh
don't know
wow.
Segun. I just know that Imhotep and Fazio and that Segun Fazio and my brother, he come see me on the TED. He showed me pictures of my brother at Kwanzaa events with Imhotep in it. So like
Yeah.
this is a spiritual journey that I'm on. Some black
Yeah.
men won't have to go to prison to be found, but what I'm telling you is I barely made it out. So to think that black men need to go to prison to learn something is not understand that black men go to prison and have to almost hurt someone or constantly face the fear of being hurt and protect themselves. That is not a conducive environment. What in fact we need is African schools of thought where we introduce the culture and things like the Black Panther movement before we introduce the Crips and Bloods.
Listen,
See,
that's what
you
I
won't
wanted you
make
to say.
and convince me to be a Crip and Blood if I knew what the Black Panthers was. It's impossible.
It's impossible. That is exactly what I wanted you to say. I wanted to hear that because a lot of people attribute their path to either enlightenment or religion sometimes or spaces that make them better once they're in that house, and that ain't a house for anybody. I mean, and it's not even a house. It's a cage. So I don't think that any black man should go to prison. But I love you saying that you don't attribute that environment to your greatness. Your greatness was planted before you even got there. That's why you were open to that type of language. Am I
You know
correct
what
of
I
what I heard?
did need? And I wrote this in my book, and it was one of the chapters. It's called isolation, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, in a Western society, the idea of isolating a group of men to themselves for a period of time with having to follow authority as a mandatory implement, that's already a concentric circle within African culture, African manhood before you even call yourself a man. I cannot come out here to these young black men. I tried it on my first 2, 3 years and be like African, 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 African. No, I gotta show them African manhood without calling them African, African. When you see me with my kids every day, when you see me feeding these kids, transporting these kids, bathing these kids, like no matter you know you get what I'm saying.
That's
When the
it. When you see
communication
the
level
action of
when Christmas
Africanness.
come around and you really
Yeah.
not buying the tree and you really don't care about the emotional factor because you're gonna provide like these is the different things that I implement, but it wouldn't be implemented without the culture. So it could go to my chapter. It's called isolation, right? We need
Mm-hmm.
isolation. We cannot turn 18 and get out of school in mandatory supervision and then think that we got the life skills, financial stability, physical, psycho emotional well being to go out there to reproduce, create new families, get a career. That's not realistic. So we
Hmm.
need a whole reintegration. That's why I go in my neighborhood and do a summer camp right in my neighborhood. That's why I go out with a drug dealer stand next to him, and be like, man, y'all selling drugs. This shit, clown. I got a job. I'm ready to go to work. You see me go back on phone that bus, bro. I be going to work. That money, like, I swear. Like it's just a different way of how I introduce it because I'm so connected to a generation that
Mm-hmm.
I became.
Listen, I'm loving it. I love what you're saying. I love the example. You said that you can't just speak African. You got to be African. It has to be a part of you. You have to display community, culture on a daily basis. They got to see it. Listen, you can't be it if you don't see it. I just really believe that. And so you're saying that every day you step out there 10 toes down, showing what an African young man should be. And other brothers see it. They definitely see it. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, you got me
Let
hot now. I'm over
me
here
tell you
jumping.
something, right? Let me tell you something that's gonna blow your mind. I
Let's go.
changed my Facebook name from Akewi Karamba, which is really my full African name, which means poet and great teacher, to Park
Mm,
Heights Mayor, and I put a Kiwi in parentheses next to it because I knew
yeah.
that the whole African name is kind of too much to swallow if you only knew Lil Ant or whatever. Because I had this Facebook since 2011, right? So now a lot of these people kind of travel with me versus people that came over the years. Instagram
Yeah.
is just like an extension what I made since I coming out of incarceration. So
Uh-huh.
when you look at it, every time you got call me a Kiwi and not Anthony or Lil Ant, you know that I'm not identifying with what I grew up with. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
times people like Lil Ant, and I'd be like, I either ignore them or I emphasize like my mother, my father, most of my inner circle call me a Kiwi. And that was my
Mhm.
biggest way of introducing my African self without over, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, overemphasizing because some people like, I don't hear that African shit. I hear it all the time. I don't hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. I don't even understand them when they say that, but I hear it all the time. So I get what you're saying. You're trying to kind of slowly matriculate it out. Like this is who I am now. This is what I'm walking as. I'm an African young man, but I'm still you. You
Yeah.
could be
Because
me, I
I
could be
don't
you. We still
care
the
if I used to be so well bound on if you buy into the ideals, but that's not my mission. I ain't gonna lie, to other people, I feel like they already do that well. I'm not trying to fit into this perfect image because
yeah,
I was able to get a great school of thought, but not clash into who I really am, plus the thought. You got thought
yeah,
theory and not. So it's like
yeah,
now I'm operating. I don't want to be binded about what you expect of me. I just want to be who I am genuinely and outpouring that without being, and I think that's one of the things that happen. People kind of get into this feeling of you have to move like this, you got to be around these certain people, you got to
yeah,
operate in a certain way, but that
yeah.
doesn't work for me in this type of time frame when psychologically, you know what's going on with our people.
Listen, I loving it. I love this. I love your I hear like you go from gangbang. I can hear like your movement, like these intentional movements. You get caught up, get into the criminal justice system, you start looking at yourself, you in those walls, you see other brothers, you gravitate towards the real words, you start pouring into yourself, pouring into your mind. That plant that was planted earlier starts blooming. You start seeing like who you are. You come out with the whole intention. You go in front of a judge. You impress the judge. You had to. They don't modify a lot of sentences without having to have to. When they modify your sentence, because they have to. They don't do no bunch of modifying. So for you to have that happen is something that you did impressive. So now you're out here living your life, and you're a father. Were you a father before when you went to prison, or you became a father after? How did fatherhood start?
Both of my daughters are 6 years old right now,
Oh,
2018 and 2019, right?
right
So
when
I was
you
not a father prior to,
yes.
being a 16-year-old. And I
Okay.
got the most beautiful daughter. I don't know if y'all can hear them in the background right now. They down there getting along, so I'm definitely not bothering them, right? But
Getting
they have
along.
two different moms, and
Okay.
I got full custody of one of them. I got a great co-parenting system with the other one. Once we didn't work out, but I
Great.
did. I got to be transparent. I did undergo a whole nother incarceration
Mm. What
in
recently or
2020.
to 2020? So during COVID, you was in. Okay. And so how did that play out with your young girls, with your babies? Because you have
Man.
custody. So were they able to were back with the mothers? How did that play out?
So this kind of one of the most embarrassing moments in my life for me personally, because
Oh.
to understand the dynamic of where I am now, you would have to
Hmm.
understand that hurdle. Because I could talk great things about myself, and how post incarceration. how I was able to start this program. I've always been gainfully employed. But what happens is that I started working for Safe Streets in 2017, right?
Okay.
So, yes, you can open it. It's on downtime. I'm still on my meeting, okay? I'm ask your mother because we extended downtime. I'm gonna call her when I finish the meeting.
I love
When
it.
I
I
have
love it.
goddamn
Brown
time.
skin
But
girl. So cute.
long
Okay.
long story short, I'm working this yoga job. I'm making great money. I'm kind of
Good.
living my life. I'm traveling nationally. I'm talking about this state across America, and I'm telling my story, and I'm teaching a yoga and mindfulness class. And I included the Safe Streets job, so I'm working two jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
while I was servicing a client one day, someone ambushed my vehicle like this basically in the capacity of being a hospital responder. It's my job to report to the bedside of any client who was shot, stabbed, or assaulted and provide them wraparound services. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
this was purposeful because I love the work of serving and helping. But this in particular client, he was attempted to be murdered three times, right? So the third time the hospital like, hey, you got this program where you guys help guys out. This guy been in here twice, so whatever. So this in particular client, after he successfully helping him get his license, these guys ambushed and tried to murder him, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
And what happened in response of that was the Baltimore City Police Department, they question, they try to figure everything out. And this is a blatant guy who's at work, and this guy who's got a case where he's been attempted to be murdered three times is all on the record. And wow, he was hitting back with his case man who's on the job and his supervisor and is affirming this was a duty for him to be doing. It's the only reason why I know him. They decided to incarcerate me for 4 months. And now, mind you, this is where the time that I'm fresh out
Well, what do you do?
on.
Let me ask you a question. They incarcerated you for 4 months because of your
They
reaction
gave
or
me
what?
conspiracy charges to all the charges this guy had because this was like a shootout situation, right? Where this guy knows people trying to kill him. These people trying to kill him. I guess he trying to, survive. And I'm just the guy who's at work. On the record, he got his license that day. You understand? Like he passed his driver's test. We in the right
So you're
in
actually
the
taking up the process of doing what
He
he's
had
supposed to be
court
doing.
at 1 p.m. that day for driving without a license and a speeding ticket. I'm about to go to court with him and represent him as a case manager type guy and be like, well,
Mhm.
he got his license today, Your Honor. Like, this is my job. This is what I do. And that turned into I almost lost my life. The car totaled. I crashed, barely survived. Like, and they turned that into an interrogation. Like, who, long story short, that rocked my world. That just mentally, psychologically, mind you, signed that LifeBridge Health and my supervisors pushed, so they had to pay for a lawyer. I had to go through a trial and get found not guilty for this, right? So I come home and I go back to the job, but the job hasn't modified things to make me more safer. You know what I'm saying? Then the neighborhood keep getting shot at. I made the poor decision to start carrying a handgun on myself to start feeling safe.
And you can't
And
do that as an
yeah,
ex-felon, right?
yeah, at all.
You
I
cannot.
pretty much. Mm. So
Mm,
when I went through that, I had to plead guilty to 5 years,
mm.
right? So I was able to complete that. It's at 27 months in total, 8 months on the box, and kind of getting, on the outline of that. Gainful employment started from the bottom in Burger King. And now I'm back kind of, where I'm supposed to be building my programs and my platform, securing the job employment, not making those same mistakes, right? But
Right.
the mission is different this time. So for my children, going back to that main thing, that's when my children experience.
Yeah.
not been around. Dad's like daddy with me every day. He bathed me, take me to daycare, school. They are literally 1 and 2. Like how they 6 and 6, they're about 9 months apart. And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, that is gone. So I still had custody. I eventually I kind of how you say progress to is like you get them on a weekend, 4 days, and then it's like, oh,
Okay.
all right, I got some time. And I had to go through a no, whole nother custody battle since being home. But I didn't
Wow.
like take Bella back and come home like, all right, I'm back. I got what happened was my child mother tried to carry it as if I don't have custody and be like, just do some stuff that was like restricting me from my child. So I had to remind her. And then, we went through a whole nother custody battle. I represented myself the first time and the second time. And it's been modified, but I still have primary custody because I outlined the truth. Just like how I would talk on this interview right now, or you know what I'm saying? I'm one of the most transparent people, even though it's not always in my best favor. But this is my real life story, and I tell it because um today I seen somebody in the supermarket. I don't know who they was, right? But he told me they love me twice. He gave me an embrace me. I'm like, yo, make sure you send me a DM so I can, make sure I'm following you back. But there's so many people who follow me that I touch, that I inspire, that I take this mission seriously. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
And,
I love that. So let me ask a question. So young black father, you got 2 6-year-olds, 9 months apart. So they're close in age. I know they fight a lot. They're girls. So I know they go at it, but they love each other. So you got 2 girls, you bring them up together, and now you back out here. So you was down for 16 months, I'm hearing. So 8 months in and 8 months on the box. Correct. Am I correct on that? So that's
27 months in, 8 months on the box.
oh, you were 27 months in. Woo. And 8 months on the box. So now you're fully off everything. You're off the papers. You're free, right? No, you're still on papers. Okay. Well, that's fine.
I'm
So
in
you're
the
working at
process of being almost so if you take 5 years in 2020, you do math, 2025 November, I be
yeah,
completed.
November completed. I'm loving that. Loving that. So you're almost done, and you have this, you still come out with this community first thing because you have the Northwest Wellness Project. So tell us a little bit about what that does in your community.
So 2016, the first thing I did was before I got the job and the training to be a yoga instructor, right? When
Right.
I was a youth and I did youth works, going around and cleaning up. That's the job I had. We had to go to like a real bad lot, clean it up, and then it used to be like, dang, this look good now. I've always had like this OCD super clean up and being proud of like if it look real bad and I can make it look good, like I got something from that. So a
Okay.
part of what I even propositioned to the judge was initially was like, how you trying to figure out how you gonna brand something. So it was immunity prep. I had a brochure. My entire program has been laid out since 2013, right?
Oh,
So I knew what I wanted to do in Park Heights and Shirley in the neighborhood I'm from way before I got even in the thinking that I would go in proposition for modification of sin. You gotta understand that I got that letter in 2011.
yeah.
I didn't
From
try
the
to go back home in proposition to 2015 in Patuxent.
wait a
So
minute. So you got the letter from the lawyer, and you waited 4 whole years.
because I
Wow.
didn't have any legal knowledge that I had a real shot at anything.
At getting out. Wow.
You
Man,
understand?
that's why you got to know this legal thing when you get caught up. Dang, that's a whole nother
So,
story. But go ahead.
and mind you, this isn't like a you got it for sure because somebody messed up. It's like, all right, I'll give it consideration, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just going back to stay focused on the point is like, where was I going?
We were talking about after your where you are now, like the
All
program. You
right.
said 2013.
So
You knew
so
what
the
you was going to do at
program.
Park Heights. early. Yeah.
Exactly. I already knew what I was going to do before I knew I could actually do it. It was the Freddie Gray thing that, like, I've
Hmm.
actually been able to meet Catherine Pugh in person 2 weeks ago. I looked at it and I said, "Do you know I carried your picture around for almost 2.5 years or a
Oh wow.
year and a half?" Because that was who was on the news the most. I'm sending my book out, everything that I presented to the judge, I'm sending out to everybody I see on the news. I'm like, yo, if y'all let me get my program out there, like in my mind, I got this infinitic thing where it's like I no longer need to be here. I ain't a mentee no more. I'm mentoring. That's where I'm at, right? So
Right.
when I came home, like how I tell you, and I'm transparent, like I messed up, like came with a really great messed up, and I'm back out here, and I'm right back to doing what I started. Is because
Yep.
in my soul, my spirit, and my presentation, I didn't ask that judge to let me come out here so I could work at Starbucks. She told me I should work at Starbucks and go to college. I swear to God. You think she
Really.
wanted me working on safe streets with violent victims or people who've been like subjugated? No, I'm moving straight off of what like I'm all like think about it. I didn't apply for no regular job. I was a yoga instructor and a hospital responder.
That's it.
So no matter what job I had, I take at least 60% of my income and I put it directly into the vision of my business and organization. I'm talking about if I'm paying kids and I'm buying wood and I'm buying different stuff. I never got like grants approved or anything like that. I've always focused because like that's where my spirit is driven and that's where I feel like I got another chance.
So you're self-funded. You're saying for Northwest Wellness Project.
Yes,
Correct.
last year I
So
was able to raise $5,100 for the summer camp. And
good.
outside of that, I have 100% expenses have always been on me.
Well, I love that. But listen, this is a shout out to people out here with know the cash act. This brother needs some money to be able to keep scaling his program. But what is the so kind of tell so if someone was here and said, listen, I got some cash, I can scale this program. What is the program? What is Northwest Wellness Project?
I would tell them that if you go on the www.northwestwellnessproject.com
Hmm.
or if you go on
Yep.
Northwest underscore project on Instagram, that shows you what we do actively every day. We post, we show them how we out in the community, and the website will give you a link as well as the Instagram bio to our GoFundMe. And what that helps is ensure that you got a legitimate way of transacting, but we also do have Cash App, Zelle, PayPal options for support. It's just about
Hmm.
understanding that we have a beautification project that we're starting, right? From the
Hmm.
wood, the paint, the blocks, the soil, the mulch. We are literally beautifying a part of Park Heights that has been known for everything but beautification. And since we've started that, the neighborhood is cleaner. There's no trash on the ground, right? People are literally respecting this area. People are, sometimes the older guys, there's a bar right there. They might take a sip, but it's for people to be comfortable and know nothing is going to happen to you right here. In August 24, 2022, there was a mass shooting right there where 7 people were shot and one person was killed. And that was in between when I was telling you about them 27 months, right? So when I
Right.
get locked up for a handgun, it's in the same area where someone came and did a mass shooting. And that's not to say that I've ever wanted to be in, no shootout situation, but it just shows you the reality that there's two sides of working in a hostile and high crime area. And of course
Hmm.
some people say, well, why would you take that risk? You can be different places, right? And my question is how? When someone comes home from incarceration, right, what
Right.
real options do they have for housing? Because when you go through social services, right, so service pretty simple. Show us you ain't got no money, answer these questions. As long as like you got Social Security and them get some money, they know now. It ain't like back in the day. You know what I'm saying? You have a little job, you ain't submit like as soon as you get that job and your job file, they coming for you, right? So
Right.
housing is like what I call social security on crack. I went down to the place, right? And it was a long line with it. So I'm like, I'm gonna go the next day and be on time. I'm on time, streamline, get my ticket, I go to the front desk, and I tell the lady, like, I'm in a situation where I need emergency house, right? And she's like, well, the list closed right now. Well, I'm like, all right, so I need a little bit more education. I really don't know what this is. What do I do? She gave me a piece of paper, it was like 8 numbers on it. Something I would give people out, like some resourceful information. She wasn't mindful of my mental health. She didn't give me a case manager, social worker, intake type frame. It was like, here, take this paper, go call these numbers, right? With the different listings, and then you can start like that. But it's always felt like that from all different times. But I've always got gainful employment. So I just say that to say it's very frustrating to transition, try to be this great dad, great father, great community man, have stability, but not a real access to having stable housing.
Well, listen, that's what we're here. So, you don't know who's going to see this. So, we want to appeal for housing for you and your children. That you need stable housing. You rather to be on the west side, but I'm sure that stable housing is stable housing, but you would rather be in the Park House community. Am I correct?
Yes,
Or close to that community on the west side. Like you're looking for stable housing so you can flourish and keep serving your community. Is that right? Or is that
yes,
wrong?
that
That's
is
it.
correct.
That's correct. So listen, guys, if you know a landlord, you know someone who can provide this young man with stable housing, not in the shoot 'em galley, in a stable neighborhood. He's very known on that side. So I mean, folks know Keyway. So it's not like they're not gonna know who he is. But please, if you have some stable housing, hit this brother up. What's your email is? I'm gonna put that in the chat too. That's northwestproject@gmail.com, right?
Yep, Northwest Wellness Project at gmail.com.
All right, and your website is northwestwellnessproject.com.
Wellnessproject.com, yes.
.com. Okay. So now I'm gonna put all his information in the chat. Guys, look this brother up, email him, and please, if you have stable housing, he's looking for some. So that's something. And so folks don't know, and I didn't know neither, that once you are a felon, it's very hard to procure housing. And so that's the problem is even though you did your time, you're still dealing with the dust from the crime. Am I correct? So it's always
Yes,
over your head when
because
you're looking for somewhere to go.
yes, because what was scary was when I raised my credit and I had a great credit score, but that
Mm-hmm.
didn't negate the background check, right? And it's always been similar in employment. And my employment I've been successful at getting employment in high risk jobs where I'm going to be in high risk areas or, you know what I'm saying? But I've
Mm-hmm.
had, the hardest time getting jobs where even though I might accept, I'm talking about I interview well, right? I'm talking about the
Right.
job, like they ready. And then when I gotta they say that question you ain't got to answer no more. That is a lie. That is a lie. You
That's a
show me
lie
one
because
job
they
where they
want to
like,
know.
oh no.
That's a mandatory question. That's a mandatory question. We live in a country that has a hard time forgetting things. Like they definitely penalize you, but what I'm not saying is once you penalize a person, why not let's move on? They've done their
No,
time.
I do want to say this, right? And I know this might sound crazy, right?
Go
For
ahead.
anyone who's been convicted of a crime, now not no sex offense, it's not my category. I don't have a voice for them. I'm not speaking for them, right? But
Okay.
anyone who's been convicted of a crime of violence from murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, assault, right? We have to be fair to the victim, right? Meaning that you do not want certain individuals, right, despite their crime, to have access to certain realms because of their crime. Let's be fair, right? Say, for
Mm,
example, you take your child to school. right?
Mhm.
You might not necessarily want them working at the elementary school that's in your local neighborhood. That brings a major problem for the principal who has to explain to a parent why, you know what I'm saying? So I think about these things before I apply to certain jobs to put myself in certain realm. It's not for the scope of the world, right? But for if there
Right.
was a person or a family, right, that was impacted, let's prevent them from being in a situation where it could be conflictual for interests of a couple, right? So I think about that. Now, on the side where you think about limits in marriage, right? If I
Right.
wanted to be a firefighter, if I wanted to be a president, I could do that, right?
Right.
So you telling me that where I do want you to consider these things, but that goes back to why we need things with reconciliation, right? Where we need things in place where if a person wants to rise to a certain level, we put community factors in place that ensure that this is kind of known. Like, hey, someone who has, a history of this, let's make them included in the decision process before we as an organization accept this because we do think this is great. We just give you some feedback, you know what I'm saying? But those type of things aren't in place. It's just 100%. Well, what if this could happen? That's the real
Hmm.
only factor that lies in, the decision making when people want to take a risk.
Well, I think that we live in a country, though, that is systematically setting people up in ways. So it's an intentional movement. Like you see, the hoods are intentional. The poverty that we see and the things that people are going through, the amount of drugs, the amount of guns, these are intentional movements. And so if you intentionally harm people and you put things in their presence and you know that you're suppressing their ability to scale their lives, and I mean past education, I mean in any modality. If you want to get a job, then the jobs are lackluster. If you want to get an education, then the education, the schools are lackluster. So they're in an intentional space that there is not enough resources in their communities, and you're creating what I would say these spaces and these people who are going to be violent, who are going to live as any means necessary. They're going to do whatever's given. So if you put guns in front of you, they're going to sell guns. If you put drugs in front of you, they're going to sell drugs. Because listen, they can't do anything else, unfortunately. So when you see society set folks up into these spaces, then society has to be intentional once they're caught to rehabilitate them and also give them spaces where they can excel. So when I say that, I'm saying that we live in a country that is setting people up and is intentionally hurting folks, intentionally not resourcing communities. And when we intentionally hurt people, then we have to intentionally build them back up. And so when I say that is that I think that yes, ex-felons have done something, but they also need to have a pathway that they can get a place to live for their children and themselves if they've done their time and they show that they're good people. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what
Exactly.
I'm
Because
saying.
what if there was a real option, not an option that's all on me to be ambitious? Like, what if I really could have lived somewhere else, right, with a stable environment for an extended
Yeah,
period of time out of incarceration with access to counseling service and resources that actually transition me into a violent society? Instead, let me get you this, there wasn't, all right, you could always like go through a legal process to get a firearm license, but not like now. So if they're in this state now with crime, just like they can't be like crime bella, like crime has gotten statistically worse, but they
yes,
still passed the law to allow way more people to have firearms, right? Is
right.
the firearm really the problem, or do they too identify with the need for a firearm? And this is what I'm telling you, white, black, or indifferent, these people always understood why the firearm or the scenario was in place. right? It's just the severity of the crime and the situation and the circumstances is what makes one case worse than another, right? So that's what kind of always scares me is that so many black fathers really just don't want to die, right? And leave their children, right? That trumps incarceration, as crazy as that might sound. And now with me going through the experience, it's like, all right, when you away from your children, it's like, no, that doesn't trump dying. It's like, I hope this don't happen, but I won't put this risk ever again if it means being away from my children. Like that hits different. If you're a real father, you no way. Like, you know how children get fast, they get tall in 2 months. Like, oh, it's like, no, that was it for me. It's like, not
You
saying
came home and those
I'm a
girls were
martyr,
big.
right? But before I
Yeah.
would pick up a firearm and walk around worried about somebody shooting me, I'm not worrying about that. Like, I gotta get home to these children, which made me change my lifestyle. It's like I still have fun, do different things, but the likelihood of me limiting myself to feeling like, you know what I'm saying? It's just nah. It's a different time.
And
And I'm
listen,
everywhere.
I love what you said. And that shows growth is that yes, you grew up in these intentional environments, urban environments that are being squeezed in so many ways, lack of resource, it's all lack of education, lack of this, lack of this. So you grew up in this type of environment, and so it kind of manifested into your behaviors. But once you went to jail and had these babies, it changed everything, because you're saying a real father do not want to be caught up in a lifestyle without their children.
It
and
don't make
and, and
sense.
that it don't make sense. And so when you came home after 27 months, children grow, baby. You look, they're a whole different size. They got more to talk about in just 2 years. So I know you felt like, man, I missed some stuff. And you don't want to miss that stuff. You don't want to, because before you know, they're grown. Six, they're gonna be 16. 16, they're gonna be 26. They just keep going. And so you can't lose no time. And so black fatherhood matters to you. So you're working very hard to stay out here and stay out here with your children. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, ma'am. Because for me, I pride myself in being a father, meaning that my children, right? And I credit my sister for this. Like before I had my own child, I used to always see like she would just take these kids different places you never saw before. They always with her. And it was just like, hold up. How about I just have my children with me in everything I do? So even
Yeah.
my employment, like at worst, I just take them with me to work. So I live a lifestyle where, like right now, my children are literally urban gardeners, farmers in training. And shout out to the
Wow.
plantation, it's an urban farm where my life, right, and this is why I love Park Heights. When I walk down the street, there are old ladies, right? That have been sitting on that front porch since I was 7, 8 years old. When they
Now they
see
see
me
you.
walk down and they see what I'm doing, they love it. They're old men, right? That are
Right.
literally in their 60s and 70s that remember me from being a young drug dealer. They don't get high anymore. Some of them do get high or they drink. The bar in that area, it's kind of like a historic place, right? There are teachers, there are so many people in this direct community that know my entire story, that even though I do plan to recreate this model a lot of places, until the beautification, till the vision is fully laid out and the plants are flourishing and you can tell the transition is like, I'm not done with this in particular mission, and my daughters have to be a part of that, and they are. I walked down the street to the store today. I showed they're like, "What's this growing?" I'm like, you know what I'm saying? And can you imagine
Yeah.
10 years from now how they're going to
Yes.
identify with an area that they were a part of beautifying?
Yep. 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 It's a mosquito. Sorry, it's a mosquito. I'm down south, bro. These mosquitoes, they got
Yeah,
they got
yeah,
bags. They stay around.
yeah.
I'm sick, I'm sick of them. But yeah, so listen, it is it is your responsibility, and I love what you're saying is to teach your young girls about food, about sustainability. So you're saying they're in a garden, they're learning to be urban gardeners. This is what we need. We have to get back to kind of fostering that type of world for our children. We've gotten into to go get a job, but if you grow your food, it's freedom.
Yes,
When you are growing food, it is literally freedom. No one can control you. You can always eat. You'll always be able to sell that. That is something. It is an experience that no one will ever be able to control. That is something that trying to start here is to start a farm. I think is very important. I'm a vegan, and I just think that what you're doing with these young girls is going to manifest in something you would never believe. They're learning something that children aren't learning, and I love it. I love it.
that's mine. So in
I,
this
I do.
sense,
I definitely love it. It is
and
important. So
I
important.
would be remiss if I don't shout out my job, Divine Counseling, who has hired me as
What's the name of it?
Divine
Divine
Counseling.
divine counseling.
Counseling.
Okay.
Yes, divine counseling. Right now, we are our main focus. We got a psychiatric rehabilitation program, and what we do is outpatient mental health. And with the position they put me in, so, I'm always out in the community. Everybody know me. I'm already going to do events. I'm already going to show up. I got a media, but they put me in position to provide real mental health resources, right? Especially to our underserved communities, right? To the we
Right.
provide to the entire state of Maryland. And what it has
Uh-huh.
enabled me to do is be out in the community more. So on behalf of jobs, I'm at more fresh produce givebacks, more food givebacks, more community baby showers, more community events, and using the influence and the people that are watching me to time even
Yes.
more into resources. So I just would be remiss if I don't shout out Divine Counseling, who is my employer, who has me in a position of when you talk about second chances, I'm on my third chance. I started out this year on Burger King, right? I went to the Center
Right.
for Urban Family, went through the Strive program, and I was
Okay.
actively in um their Habitats for Humanity, which is the landscape and construction training, right? And because of my childcare situation and construction is a little different, how early they need you there, work sites, I couldn't be no
Early,
baby.
very early.
I couldn't
Yeah,
be
that's
down on Washington
oh
Boulevard,
05 in the
HMO.
morning. You gotta be
I
rolling.
gotta get my children to school. It's like
Yeah,
everybody don't understand when you're a father. They think like
yeah,
no, I ain't got nobody. It's me. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna bathe them. I'm gonna feed them. I'm gonna drop them off, and then I. But so I was in a position where I
I love that.
almost was about to get kicked out the program, and Bakari being a big brother, got me employed with Charm City Care. So I'm loving that job. I'm doing the work. I'm working with him. So it's pretty much a dream job. But getting a position of being a manager and being in a community, I'm feeling like, yo, this is more my prestige of what I feel like, not only what I love doing, right? But
Right.
so yeah, I've been working with them since October of last year. I've been to almost
Uh-huh.
60 events since working with them, right? So it just feel real good to be back in a position, right? Where, post getting back on my feet a little bit and grinding and not being able to really provide like I want, not being in a fully stable situation to, being fully employed in a great company.
Listen, this mosquito. I am so proud of you. I love what I'm hearing. But you know what I also hear, and that we can never negate is relationships. Like now, Bakari is out here still extending. He's still mentoring. You can hit up Brother Curtis. You can hit up Brother Asab Baba. These are men that you can touch that can still, pour into you, and they have resources. They have relationships. So that's what I like when I'm hearing from you. Not only are you out here digging your own space, you're also also digging into you're touching your relationships, which are actually giving you spaces to flourish.
Yes.
And that's what we have. That's what community is, brother. Brother Mayor, that's what I'm gonna call you now. Ain't no more K. The Kiwi is done. You brother
Yes.
Mayor.
When I first
So
got
brother
this
Mayor,
job, like when I was transitioning, I would still go by the job, go down there, meet with Brother Curtis just to get some counsel. So yeah, those brothers are definitely
yeah,
good.
it's important. It's important, and we have to have those type of community. That's why you look at God. God gave us this. He gave us different levels of our community. We got our youth, we got mid age, we got the elders. You need every piece of it. When you're young, you don't have the relationships that a brother Curtis has. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been here a little longer. You get what I'm saying? So we need that. So we can't negate the stages of community. And so what I'm hearing from you is a unbelievable love for your children. Like you love them girls. You love being a father. That was important to you, and you're working hard to step into that and stay into that. Not only that, you set up a program that is helping other people. The Northwest Wellness Project. So that's a program that infuses yoga and so many different other aspects of healing. So you're looking to heal others because you know what you've been through. And then also I'm hearing you still got tentacles with the folks who put you on this path, kind of poured into you, and now you're moving forward on your own path. So like this is complete. That's a whole complete movement right now. Now we just need some housing. So listen, guys, this brother needs some stable housing. Y'all hear him? He doing the work. And see, a lot of times we talk about young people like, they don't want to, they don't want to do what they're supposed to do. You're trying to do what you're supposed to do. I love that. And so we got to get you into some stable housing. And I want to see this wellness project flourish. I'm telling you, this is a fun fact, guys. Today, about 60, this in the last 2 days, about 16 people call me about this young man. Oh, I've talked about this young man that they know him. I'm like, I thought I'd know some
Mhm.
people. He
Mhm.
knows some people. So I'm calling him the urban mayor. This brother here knows some people. Like I'm amazed at who he knows, who I was talking to.
Oh no,
So
I like that. I like that.
yeah, this is a community guy right here. Because one thing that we did at Black Box is we try to touch the community. Our goal is not to stay inside the studio. We come out. We come out to your whatever you're having in the community. We come out to the cookouts. As our goal is to touch the people. And so when I touch folks to sit with me, I want you to be a person that touch the people. And you out here touching the people. So I totally love that about you. I love this. I love the urban garden. I see it on your chest. What's the plan? Is that in Park Heights Plantation? I saw that.
Yes,
Plant
these are one of my sponsors and business partners, Plantation Park Heights Urban Farm. They're located
Beautiful.
right there between Spring Hill and Keyworth. They've been pivotal in giving me the training, tools, and resources just to connect me with knowing how to do it right. They have the biggest urban farm in Baltimore City right now with a farmers market they do every Wednesday at the Drew Hill Park right there by the conservatory, as well as one right there on the farm on Saturday. So if you don't know about the Plantation Park Heights Urban Farm, you can type it in on Google. It is definitely a place that you want to be familiar with. You got Farmer
I
Chippy and Sierra up there, and they doing
So
amazing work.
Wednesday is at the Druid Hill, and Saturday is actually on the farm. What's the times on Saturday?
The Saturday time is, don't get me wrong.
It's
I
during
know
the day.
On Wednesdays it's from 3:30 to 7:30, but don't quote me on the Saturday time. I gotta look at. But they
I'm
give
sure
me
it's in
the
the daytime.
flyers. They got it
Yeah.
on their Instagram on
Okay.
Plantation Place Urban Farm Instagram.
All right. So I actually put the Plantation Park Heights Urban Farm in the chat, and look, I'm flying out on Wednesday. I'll be in Baltimore on Wednesday, but I won't come till the night. So that means Saturday. That maybe the next Wednesday I can come through and try because Saturday I know it's during the day and I'm working. So I got to see this urban farm you're talking about. I'm gonna call you up and you
All
give
right,
me
hit me.
the yeah, I'm gonna call you up and then when I get in and you tell me where to show up at. But yeah, we're gonna go up on the farm while I'm up there. So listen,
Sure.
I am absolutely I can't wait to meet you in person. We got to meet in person. You hiding under that hat. I
I'm sorry, the angle is off. I ain't have all my stuff and I'm somewhere and I just finished cooking for the girls and I was just making sure I was on time. So I'm sorry about my
listen.
angle.
Listen. I wear hats all the time. You are excellent. I am. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the movement. November, you off papers and don't get on them no more. This is it. Stay. I
I'm
know.
leaving the
Sometimes it's
country
hard.
after that. I'm leaving the country after that. Picking me and my girls up. We going to Zimbabwe. We go.
Really?
As long as their mother's going,
They ain't
as long
going
as their
to
mother's
Zimbabwe.
going to try to stop. Either their mother's going to let me take them with me, or I'm
You
gonna
really
holler
going
at
to
'em when
Zimbabwe?
I be back. I'm no, not literally Zimbabwe, but I gotta get out
You
the
got to leave
country
this. You got to leave that
once,
environment, right?
just once. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. You got to travel Africa. Please go to
I
Africa.
need an
Every black.
optional. I might come back type of travel. Well,
I
you run the money up
love
real good. You be ready to go somewhere with your money. All right.
it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I
I'm
hear
at
that.
that point, man.
You might need a little change. So listen, you can get a little change
But
your
no,
environment.
on a serious note, I do have a vision for Park Heights, right? And I
Hmm.
do just foresee, and just even needing a housing that Park Heights Renaissance been building a bunch of houses up there. So
Hmm.
I'm all in with trying to, just get my daughters stable, safe, and just continue on this journey of community activism from a grassroots level.
Listen, I love it. What's your daughter's names?
Bella and Akili.
Beautiful names, Bella and Akewi. Um, so being a young father, so you was a father. What when did you become a father? How old were you?
2018, I was 23.
23 when you became a father, right?
Yeah.
And so you're still a young father because they're only 6. What do you want for your children? What is your next 5-year plans for your girls? They're 6 years old, so they'll be 11. What's the 5-year movement that you would like to see happen to your young ladies?
Well, my goal is to give my daughters the life skill training, mentorship, and wellness, like real healthy eating, right? So that as they get older, they'll kind of step into their purpose, but they'll have a community mind frame. I've even caught the bus with my daughters more than I ever wanted to, not with like, a irresponsible, but just trying to really give them an exposure to, you know, like they've always gotten cars and back seats and all these different stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like for me, I want my daughters to turn 11 years old and don't go through what I see me and my sister go through. 11 years old, you get 12, you get 13, you go to an identity crisis if stuff is
Yeah, that's the
unstable.
pivotal time, 10, 11,
Yeah,
when they get the double
yes.
numbers.
All you
Yeah.
all you got is school, and what school present, and
Preteens.
you come home, mommy angry. You can't get the shoes you want. You can't like that. For me,
Yeah.
I'm not a materialistic person, but I'm telling you, my daughters don't know what struggle is. I buy them snacks every day for school, like just little stuff. So I want my children to continue to have the experience of like they know we ain't rich, we ain't got, but it's like I want them to feel secure and stable.
I love that. And that's the number one thing, safety and security. And that's what dads bring to the table. That's why I love my dad so much when he was living. Is that's what he brought to our household, safety and security. And so listen, I had to have you on because I needed a young voice. But not only that, I wanted to hear someone who's had some knocks in life and who's got back up and start over again. And that's where you are. And listen, keep going. And when you have a travel problem, reach out to folks. Don't think you're on an island by yourself. A lot of times we think we're the only person going through something. You're not. Life is life, and for all of us. And there's other young fathers that's going through the same things you're going through, or some of the same things. So I want you to kind of open up and reach out to folk. But we definitely got to get you some stable housing. So if anybody out there, again, and some stable housing in the West Side, Park Heights, preferably, because this young man is building his life. in his home piece, which is Park Heights, please hit up. Listen, I'm gonna put the email for you. This is the email. Hit his email up, Northwest Project, or I'm sure you can get into contact with him through his website. So please hit this young man up because he needs stable housing. We need young men who want to be good fathers, who want to be good people, and who want to build their community. So us OGs, young G's, whatever, we got to pour into him and pour into his children. So that is my say. Of course, I gotta say that for you, but I want you to leave a jewel with the people. Inspire us. Leave us something nice.
My jewel for the people is that you don't get a second chance. So if you find yourself with one, right, especially if you're lucky, like when you get a third chance, right, you gotta stay in the mode of when you was most hungry, because I think that that's something that I remind myself that I think people like, yo, how do you do it? Because I every time I get comfortable with you, I go right back into the mode or when I was most hungry, and I think that it's like I think you can't channel into nothing else. You can channel in when stuff was messed up, and if you can remember that, then you can remember how to not make so many mistakes.
Love that. Listen, bro, you boss mayor now. I'm done with that. I'm done with the first name. You the mayor. So listen, mayor, I really really appreciate this. This is an urban take, an urban youthful take to fatherhood. Keep doing what you're doing. Girl dads probably are the funnest dads. You a girl dad. Keep taking care of them girls. I'm a black woman. I came from a black dad who poured into me. So I'm telling you how important it is. Don't ever give up. Even when we talking back and we think we cute, we still need daddy. Just know that as they grow up, they're gonna get smart on the mouth. They gonna look at boys, but daddy is everything. Just always know that. So listen, thanks for being a good black father. We so appreciate you. I'm gonna call you when I come up this week. I'm gonna plan on Wednesday. I'm gonna give you a shout out because I want to come to the farm. Okay, we good?
All
So
right, thank you
listen,
for everything. I'm better get back to
yeah,
these girls because they've been
yeah,
being
give me
patient.
some
So
deuces. Yeah,
yes,
we out of
ma'am.
here. Get some deuces. Give me
All
some
right,
deuces. We out. Where them deuces
all right,
at?
bye.
Ow! Good night, black boxes. We out.